आ गया? ओके. माया मनसृजति कर्ममयं बलीया कालेन चोदित गुणानुमतेन पुंसा छन्दोमयं यजजयर्पित षोडशारम् संसार चक्रमजकोटितरे त्वदन्या माया मनसृजति कर्ममयं बलीया कालेन चोदित गुणानुमतेन पुंसा छन्दोमयं यद अजयर्पित षोडशारम् संसार चक्रमजकोटितरे त्वदन्या माया मनसृजति कर्ममयं बलीया कालेन चोदित गुणानुमतेन पुंसा छन्दोमयं यजजयर्पित षोडशारम् संसार चक्रमजकोटितरे त्वदन्या माया संसार चक्रमजकोटितरे त्वदन्या Maya, the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Manaha, the mind, Srujati, creates karma mayam, producing hundreds and thousands of desires and acting accordingly. Baliyaha, extremely powerful, insurmountable. Kalena, by time. Chodita guna, whose three modes of material nature are agitated. Anumatena, permitted by the mercy of the glance. Time. Umsaha, of the planetary portion, plenary portion, Lord Vishnu, the expansion of Lord Krishna. Chandomayam, chiefly influenced by the directions in the Vedas. Yat, which Ajaya, because of dark ignorance, Arpita, offered, Shodasha, 16, Aram, with spokes, Samsara Chakram, the wheel of repeated birth and death in different species of life. Aja, O unborn Lord, Ka, who is there, Atitaret, able to get out, Tvadanyaha, without the shelter at your lotus feet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Lord, O Supreme Eternal, by expanding your plenary portion, you have created the subtle bodies of the living entities through the agency of your external energy, which is agitated by time. Thus, the mind entraps the living entity in unlimited varieties of desires to be fulfilled by Vedic directions of karma kanda, fruitive activity, and the 16 elements. Who can get free from this entanglement unless he takes shelter at your lotus feet? Purport. If the hand of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present in everything, where is the question of being liberated from material engagement to spiritual blissful life? Indeed, it is a fact that Krishna is the source of everything, as we understand from Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavaha. All the activities in both the spiritual and material world are certainly conducted by the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the agency of either the material or spiritual nature. As further confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:10, Mayadhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam, without the direction of the Supreme Lord, material nature cannot do anything. It cannot act independently. Therefore, in the beginning, the living entity wanted to enjoy the material energy and to give the living entity all facility. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, created this material world and gave the living entity the facility to concoct different ideas and plans through the mind. The facilities offered by the Lord to the living entity constitute the 16 kinds of perverted support in terms of knowledge gathering senses, the working senses, the mind, and 5 material elements. The wheel of repeated birth and death is created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but to direct the bewildering living entity in progress towards the liberation according to the varied stages of advancement, different directions are given in the Vedas. Chandomayam. If one wants to be elevated to the higher planetary system, he may follow the Vedic directions, as Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita 9:25. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrun yanti pitrur vrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhyajino pimam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth amongst the demigods, and those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. The real purpose of the Vedas is to direct one back home, back to Godhead. But the living entity, not knowing the real goal of life, wants to go sometimes here, sometimes there, and do sometimes this and sometimes that. In this way, he wanders throughout the entire universe, imprisoned in various species, and thus engaging in various activities for which he must suffer the reactions. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore says, Brahmanda Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. The fallen conditioned living entity, trapped by external energy, loiters in the material world. But if by good fortune he meets a bona fide representative of the Lord who gives him the seed of devotional service, and if he takes advantage of such a guru or representative of God, he receives the Bhakti Lata Bija, the seed of devotional service. If he properly cultivates Krishna consciousness, then he is then gradually elevated to the spiritual world. The ultimate conclusion is that one must surrender to the principles of Bhakti Yoga, for then one will gradually attain liberation. No other method of liberation from material struggle is at all possible. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Akshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krupa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. O Lord, O Supreme Eternal, by expanding your plenary portion, you have created the subtle bodies of living entities through the agency of your external energy, which is agitated by time. Thus, the mind entraps the living entity in unlimited varieties of desires to be fulfilled by the Vedic directions of karma kanda, fruitive activity, and the 16 elements who can get free from this entanglement. Who can get free from this entanglement unless he takes shelter at your lotus feet? Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat krupatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyeshwaram. Hare Krishna. So Prahlad Maharaj is continuing his glorification of Lord Narasimha, to pacify Lord Narasimha. But in the glorification, he is commenting about the very complex nature of the creation of the Lord. Very complex, very difficult to comprehend and understand. Especially the difficult part to explain is that how is it the living entity can see and experience that everything is absolutely temporary in this world. This world is so full of pain, suffering, etc. How is it that living entity will still become completely trapped and gripped? And how is it that the living entity surrenders not to Krishna but to the material energy? This is a paradox, because anybody can see that in this world, life is, it's kind of full of anxiety, complexities, challenges, difficulties, pain, suffering, occasionally some little bit of happiness here and there, occasionally. The old age, disease, pain, separation, everything. And then finally, death. Every living entity can see this very clearly. And they also see how most of the time we lead a life of frustration, because so many things that we want, plan, aspire, desire is not happening. We don't want to grow old, but we grow old. We don't want to die, but we die. We don't want our people that we like or love to grow old and die, but we see helplessly watch them grow old, diseased, and die. So, most of the time, we are direct witness to how everything in this world is temporary and full of pain and frustration and disappointment. But nevertheless, the living entity can be easily trapped by this external energy of the Lord. Very easily trapped. So, this is what Prahlad Maharaj is saying in this verse and the previous verses. He says, my Lord, your creation is so deceptive. It is deceiving. Though you don't hide the misery and the suffering. Actually, misery, suffering, old age, disease is not hidden. Death is not hidden. So let us say if some of these things are hidden from you, then we can say, all right, living entity can be tricked and fooled. But these things happen right in front of our eyes. These things happen to us also. Nevertheless, the living entity is completely trapped by the material energy. So it is meant that the material energy gets triggered by the Lord's will and as per time, kala. So it gets triggered into action. And it's not like, like they show in the movies that they show in the movies that there's the hero, there's the heroine, and then big struggle, and they come together, and then it kind of ends there. And so we have to presume that they lived happily together or something like that. It's not like that. Here we are seeing how in the world today, especially in the Western world, people don't want to get married. If they get married, they divorce very quickly. They don't want to have children. It's very pervert society, very high level of pervert behavior, obnoxious behavior. But nevertheless, we are willing to get trapped by the material energy. We will not, we refuse to surrender to Krishna. And Krishna is saying, come to me, let's cross this river that separates the material world from the spiritual world. And once you come there, you will be eternally happy under my shelter. And Krishna comes occasionally into this material world to demonstrate how life is in Vrindavan, in Golok. How happy devotees live, joyfully live with Krishna. Unending, unending sequence of happiness and bliss and joy, adventure and fun. But here it's exactly the opposite. But nevertheless, we will not want to take interest in Krishna consciousness easily. Like one Acharya mentioned, that this is like a prison with all the doors and windows open. I mean, this is like a prison with no doors and windows. It's like a prison with no security guards either. But still we will want to be trapped. We will want to be trapped. And this is like a prison where we are constantly being reminded of the miseries of life in prison. We are constantly being demonstrated the happiness of life, a liberated life, when we surrender to Krishna. Actually, it's some kind of a paradox. We say you surrender to Krishna, you become liberated. How can you surrender and be liberated at the same time? These two are, in English, we use the word oxymoron. Oxymoron means one word, one part of the sentence actually contradicts the other. So you become liberated, you surrender to Krishna, then you become liberated. So Prahlad Maharaj is asking this. No, he's offering these glorifications to Lord Vishnu. He's saying, my Lord, you're mystical. Very difficult to uh, understand the power of your mystic energy. You're completely mystical. How you work, how you achieve what you want to achieve is very difficult to. We can see, but we are seeing, experiencing, but very difficult to cross over. Like it's mentioned here, insurmountable. Very difficult to cross over because the living entity lives on one thing called hope. All of us are victims of this thing called hope. We hope that tomorrow will be better. We're always living on hope. Today was bad, today was a disaster. But I think I've learned how to play this game properly, so tomorrow maybe I'll win. We have this strong gambler's instinct. We always calculate thinking maybe tomorrow is better. Maybe the next time I do this, it will be better. The next girlfriend I make, maybe that will be better for me. This was a disaster. So we live on the sentiment called hope. But hope, and you could say some type of trust. We trust ourselves, we trust our intelligence, we trust our experience, we trust ourselves so much. So we live practically on these two sentiments. We live on hope, we live on trust, trusting ourselves. So basically, we are trusting the wrong thing and the wrong person, and the whole, everything about whom we trust, what we do is wrong. And we are always hoping things will get better. So finally, when we die, we are hoping that maybe next life it will be better. This life was a disaster. I was unlucky. Maybe next life it will be better. So we constantly live in hope about what will happen, what we can get out of this material world. We're thinking that next time I'll be clever, next time I'll be cautious, next time I'll be more calculative, and so I'll win or I'll gain, something like that. So we live on hope. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying that these living entities are entrapped by this sentiment that they can somehow figure out what is the right thing to do. Yes, you can figure out what is the right thing to do. You can live on hope, but it's mentioned here, chandomayam. So you want to have a better life tomorrow than what you had today. Yes, you can live on hope. Yes, it is possible, but that requires changing your reference. That means changing your reference point. That means you have to chandomayam, which means you have to go to the original source of truth and knowledge, which is the Vedas. That's mentioned here. You have to go to the original, pure, the most powerful, God-given source of knowledge. The Lord, it's not that the Lord does not know or does not recognize that you want to be happy, you want to be peaceful, you want to be joyful. It's not that He doesn't recognize. He says, yes, I know, because you're like me. Sachid Ananda. We're always Ananda seeking. We're always seeking Ananda. Lord says, you're like me, a bit like me, so I understand you perfectly. So here it is. I'm giving you the technology. I'm giving you the know-how. Chandomayam. It is there in the Vedic scriptures. So you learn. And Lord is also declaring very emphatically that there is no other way by which you can become happy. Like it is mentioned here in the last line of the purport, it is said, our ultimate conclusion is that one must surrender to the principles of Bhakti Yoga, for then one will gradually attain liberation. No other method of liberation from material struggle is at all possible. Who can get free from the entanglement unless one takes shelter of your lotus feet? The living entity in unlimited variety of desires to be fulfilled. Okay, this is the Vedic directions of Karma Kanda. So, the Lord is saying, Prahlad Maharaj is glorifying Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Nrsimha Dev, and saying, you have already given the path how to become liberated and how to become happy. And we always try to deny that or postpone that decision of exploring Vedic scriptures. So we want to try ourselves. This whole philosophy about do it yourself. Why do you want to surrender? You don't have to surrender. You're a free bird. You can do what you like. There's no such thing as karma. So all these kind of strange pervert philosophies float around in the Kali Yuga. Of course, they were there in the other yugas also, but they're more prominent in Kali Yuga. So categorically, Prahlad Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada is of course categorically mentioning in the purport, there is no other way in which you can become free other than surrendering to the Vedic scriptures, which in other words means Krishna. You want to get out of this mess, you want to get out of the mess that you've gotten into, you have to take external help. We can't. The more we try, Prabhupada sometimes quotes the example of the spider's web. The more we try, the more we become entangled. Somebody has to pull us out of the spider's web in which we have got trapped. So that external help, Krishna comes himself, or he also sends his representative, Kuno Bhagyavan Jim. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Kuno Bhagyavan Jim. Bhakti Lata Bij. So either Guru does it or Krishna does it, the scriptures do it. So you have to, if you want to get out of this mess that we are in, we have to take external help. Or rather, in other words, we have to take the help of the master of the material world. The master of the material creation is Vishnu, Krishna. So we have to take help from the master of the material creation, which is Vishnu. And he has spoken the Vedic scriptures, the Upanishads, the Puranas, the others, Bhagavatam and so on. He has spoken. And you open the pages of Bhagavatam, you can see how happy devotees of Krishna are always. How blissful, how happy they are. And we have to. So Prabhupada says, you have given so many lives to the material world, you have offered yourself completely surrendered to the material world. One life, why don't you give to Krishna? Try. Maybe this will work for you. Just try giving one lifetime to Krishna. So, this is how Prahlad Maharaj is glorifying Lord Narasimha. He says that this material world has many unique features. And of course, there is the spiritual world. But in the material world, so many unique features, so many. Prabhupada uses the word phantasmagoria. It's very glittering on the surface. Very, very glittering. It's very shiny. It's very deceptive. It's like the salesman who'll come and talk to you, saying, come buy this flat, this is there, that is there. Whatever, salespeople are very expert at presenting a very utopian vision of how your life. They'll say your life will change. Everything will change if you buy this house. How can that happen? You'll only be burdened by huge loan or something like that. And that salesman will benefit by taking some commission or something. How your life will change by buying a house or buying a car or going on a vacation or buying some gold. How your life will change. Your life will go as per your life's karma. So they're so expert at covering reality. These salespeople, similarly, this divine energy of mind is so expert at misleading and covering reality. This divine energy of mind, Maya. So Prahlad is glorifying Maya in one sense, saying a very, very capable energy. Everybody gets trapped. From Alexander the Great to the smallest insect or something. He wanted to conquer the world, whole world. And the small insect maybe wants to conquer one female insect or something like that. But everybody wants to conquer something or somebody. Prahlad says, yes, it's good to conquer, but what you should conquer is not another female insect of the world, but you should conquer your mind and your senses. That is what you have to conquer. You have to conquer your urge to go on experimenting and living in a state of denial. I'm okay, I'm okay. How are you okay? Your Prabhupada also says something very nice. He says you go to somebody who's sick, really sick, after a few days he's been in the hospital, something like that, you go ask. That person may even say, no, no, I'm okay, I'm getting along, something like that. So Prabhupada said that is the power of Maya. That's how powerful the Lord's Maya is. Sometimes people ask, so why did Lord have to create something so elaborate and so perfectly deceptive? But he had to create because Prabhupada, here in the purport, it's mentioned that the living entities of millions and millions of unfulfilled desires, impractical, unfulfilled desires. I want to enjoy, I want to become Indra, I want to become Brahma, I want to enjoy like you. So Krishna says, what can I do? I have to create something false and make it appear real for your sake. Because you're not constitutionally an enjoyer. You're a servant. You don't want to accept that. You want because you're so stubborn and you want to enjoy it. So I'll have to create a whole false world where you're made to feel, and then you hopefully someday you'll become frustrated and understand reality that you're constitutionally like a fish cannot live out of water. You cannot be the master. You're only the servant. You cannot pretend. You cannot kid yourself. You cannot trick yourself. So I had to create this so that you understand that hopefully you will understand that you're only a servant. I'm a small, insignificant servant. I'm not the master. I'm not a master of anything. So, but you like it because you think you see me and then you want to imitate me. Prabhupada says, wanting to imitate Krishna. You want to imitate, so how can you do it with me? So I have to create something for you separately. So that is this Maya world that we are inhabiting. So Prahlad is saying, my dear Lord, the only way to escape all these things is to come to you, surrender to you, and say, I made a mistake. Please take me back home. Please teach me how to be your servant. Teach me again how to be your servant. I think that was a much better deal than what I'm getting here. Like the fish out of water, no matter what you give, fish cannot survive. It needs water. So we need Krishna. We are not, that's that we're trying to deny. We are living in denial. We don't want to accept that we need Krishna. We need to be sheltered by Krishna, protected, connected with Krishna, serving Krishna. That is our constitutional right, position, privilege. Imagine serving the Supreme Lord. Imagine being very close, intimately serving the Lord. How can there be anything better than that? So Prahlad is saying, somehow I have come to accept you as the Lord. But I can see that many people are struggling to accept this, struggling to accept this reality. They don't understand that taking your shelter is the sweetest thing. You're the best, you're the greatest of all providers of shelter, sweetest of masters, most kind, generous, forgiving, loving master. They don't understand. Rather, they go and surrender to illusory energy of yours. So Prahlad actually prays and says that I wish all the living entities come and take your shelter. And he prays to the Lord also and says, I hope you will be kind and you will guide them also back to you, like that. So it's a very intelligent, intellectual way of glorifying the Lord. Prahlad is doing. He's not saying you're beautiful, you have curly hair, you have lotus like eyes, even your nails are like emeralds and rubies. He's saying, my Lord, look at this material world you've created. So perfectly deceptive. People who are trapped don't even understand that they're trapped. They think this is it. This is how we have to live. Don't even understand. So perfectly you've trapped them. Such an amazing, mystic way in which you've created this world. So he's appreciating the Lord. So it's an extremely intellectual, intelligent, um, scholarly way of appreciating the Lord. Very few people do that. These are actually the words of a jnani, mature jnani, to distinguish between the truth and what appears to be the truth. What appears to be and what looks almost like the truth. It's so innovatively um, positioned. Because the Lord says, it's not that I want to cheat you, you want to cheat yourself. So I had to create this for you. I don't want to cheat you. I want you to come back. I want you to be with me. But you're not ready yet. So I have to keep you in the transit lot for some time until you understand. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Any questions or comments? Yes. So here it is explained that the living entity has many desires. It's a natural function of the living entity to have many desires, unlimited varieties of desires. And as long as we have desires, we will generally try to pursue them, try to fulfill them. Uh, so as long as the mind is filled with desires of some nature, anything, one will not surrender. Desire to enjoy, desire to experience, desire to become big, famous, whatever in the material world. So as long as we have those desires, we will never surrender. So, Kono Bhagyavan Jeev, it's mentioned Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. So this living entity in pursuit of desires is going from one planet to another universe in different forms of life in pursuit of its desire. While it is traveling like that, then it is mentioned Brahmande Brahmite, Kono Bhagyavan Brahmite. While it is traveling like that in the material world through different universes and planets and this and that, accidentally, sometimes by chance, it may meet a devotee of the Lord. This meeting of the devotee of the Lord will help the living entity come to its senses. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. Bhakti Lata Bij. This Guru and Krishna, they will plant Bhakti Lata, the seed of Bhakti, in such a living entity which is wandering, trying to fulfill its desires. If you want to come to Krishna, you have to meet a devotee. somehow when you meet a devotee and the devotee mercifully instructs you or glances at you, the seed of devotion is planted in your heart. And then it is said that for many, many lifetimes, the living entity performs Ajnata Sukriti. Rupa Goswami clearly explains Ajnata Sukriti. That means unknowingly, accidentally, you serve a devotee or a Vaishnava. Devotee, Vaishnava, you do something for him good. Just like as you're still pursuing your desires, there is the Bhaktilata Bija, the seed is there, but the seed will fructify and start growing when you acquire Ajnata Sukruti. And after many lifetimes of acquiring Ajnata Sukruti, then that Bhaktilata Bij will start sprouting. So, your question about how do we get liberated while we are still trapped? The process of liberation will commence through Guru Krishna Prasade Pai. When the living and Brahmite, pursuing its desires, going from one form, one planet, one universe, one whatever, transmigrating and through the entire, you meet a devotee. And then you perform various acts, basically without any intention, you have helped somebody, that somebody turns out to be a Vaishnava, Ajnata Sukruti. Or some devotees are singing and dancing, and you've seen and you've heard them sing and dance, and you appreciate them. Say, oh, nice. Some hungry devotee, you fed him. Some devotee in need, you've given shelter. Like that, Ajnata. Not you're driving a bus and some Vaishnavas come in that bus or something like that. For many lifetimes, you acquire little portions of Ajnata Sukriti, and then when Ajnata Sukriti reaches level, then the seed of devotion will start sprouting. And then you will start doing devotional service. The scriptures are there, Krishna is there, everything is there. The missing link is Guru's mercy, a touch of a Vaishnava, Ajnata Sukriti. Okay? Comes only through Ajnata Sukriti. Yes, correct. You have any doubt? Kala, time. Can't say unwanted. There are followers of those religions also. Based on the level of concoction that is there in the mind of that person, he will follow something. It's mentioned here. I don't know, maybe here or something. There are people who become ghosts and goblins. And I don't know. Some will become ghosts. So they have a very tamasic way of worship. Very tamasic, very the Chandala, Mlecha. They are Chandalas, they are Mlechas, they are Yavanas. They are outside the four, they are outside the Varnashrama system. They are so degraded that even within Varnashrama, they cannot be accepted. They are so degraded. So they will concoct their own type of religion. You can see that happening now. I see suddenly you see a lot of people wearing yellow, wearing saffron, wearing green, and doing some kind of ratha, going somewhere, some temple, something, all self concocted over the last few years. That is Brahmande Brahmito Konam. Somebody will tell them if you do this, good, this thing will happen, you'll become a Rakshasa in next life. Whatever, I don't know what all is being promised there. But they come down to such a low level of ignorance and even below the mode of ignorance. So it is said that Lord Shiva provides shelter for all the Chandalas and Mlechas and Yavanas and ghosts and goblins and like that. He provides shelter. So in the system, religious system that Lord Shiva permits or tolerates, everybody has his own philosophy. They sacrifice goat and this and that, and they think Lord Shiva's whatever linga should be bathed in blood. Drip. You cut an animal and then you drip it in blood. So Lord Shiva tolerates them, somehow prevents them from becoming completely insane. So because people have variegated desires, they are they are so determined to pursue them and follow them. You'll be surprised how many philosophies are there. They have said that there are 5,000 kind of semi-recognized or something religious systems in the world. 5,000 religious systems. Because man has that kind of craze. An unbridled mind is the worst enemy. So people experiment even religiously. So this tantric system, this 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 tamasic forms of worship of devils, bhutas and pishachas, and trying to control them, and they are prevailing because of the variety of desires people have, human beings have. So as they sink deeper and deeper and deeper into ignorance, different types of religious systems they concoct and they create. So this is the first good step. You're understanding that what you have done is wrong. Krishna is helping you. So it is mentioned that we should go into what is known as sattva guna, mode of goodness. Maybe you should chant one round, do a little bit of breathing exercises. You should check what you're eating, because the food you're eating and whatever you're doing, if it is already contaminated and making you very prone to anger, then you have to change your little bit. Think about it. You have to change your lifestyle habits, eating habits, what you do, friends that you have. But that's the first step to accept that I have a problem. So let me take help. Let me find a solution. Maybe a little bit of yoga, early morning, get up, do some pranayama, this and that, chant one round of Hare Krishna mantra, lead a sattvic life, cleanliness, all these things matter. Cleanliness, cleanliness of the mind, body, the place where you live, your surroundings, your family, all these help in developing sattva guna, coming to the temple regularly, attending a kirtan. Kirtan makes you very peaceful. Hearing like this, Bhagavatam, makes you very, that's called sattva guna, mode of goodness. Hearing Bhagavatam, chanting, you know, taking prasadam, for instance. If you take prasadam, it makes your senses very peaceful. First step is to understand we have a problem, like you're saying. It's a very good thing. And you come to the right place. Krishna is very equipoised. Very rarely do we see how where Krishna becomes very angry, uncontrollably angry. One example is not Narasimha. He becomes angry not because because he thinks that he says that you're unnecessarily harassing a devotee of mine, Prahlad, an innocent 5-year-old boy. How can you do that? How can you harm him? So the Lord becomes angry in order to protect Prahlad. But otherwise, you don't see Lord becoming angry, impatient, intolerant. Lord is exactly the opposite: patient, loving, kind, forgiving, understanding, mature, tolerant. The more you chant his name, the more you serve him, more qualities of Krishna will come into you. You'll also become like that. You're doing the right thing. You had a question. Guru Krishna Prasade Poi, Bhakti Lata Bij. As you're wandering in this material world through different forms of body, this and that, and somewhere you meet a guru, somewhere you meet a Vaishnava. He looks at you mercifully. You've done some. Then Ajnata Sukruti. Rupa Goswami clearly explains. Guru Krishna plants the seed. Ajnata Sukruti, the seed starts growing. So the more association we take, the stronger and more this creeper of bhakti will grow. Okay? Nantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Sri Sri Gandharvika Giridhari, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. I don't Premanande.